Hey, welcome back to Big Trouble in Little Podcast. This is episode 312. I'm Andy.
I'm Chaz.
Nope.
I'm Dubs. I'm Dubs.
No, you're fired, both of you.
This is the new bit. I'm so glad I'm out of the rotation where I'm stuck in that bit. This is great.
We're going to choose, we're going to either do alphabetical or chronological or by height or by something. We're going to figure it out. Episode 313, that's the one where we nail it. Anyway, we're back. We're still doing Black History Month movies. We're doing Detroit. That was Chaz's pick, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How'd you choose this movie?
I got a great explanation for how I chose this movie.
That's wrong.
You Googled best black movies or something like that.
Yeah, I put in how to feel white guilt. No, I just literally typed in great film, great new films for Black History Month. That's what I wanted, something newer. Like, again, I didn't know that we were all going to choose something that was relatively new, but
coincidence.
I actually thought, funny enough, that others would choose something older, so then we would all end up with like a mix. So, but it didn't work that way. But anyway, that's how I found it, and I knew nothing about it. I didn't look up anything about it. I had no idea what we were going to watch. I just remember seeing a picture of John Boyega in the film. I think it's the same as his last name, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Saw a picture of him and thought, okay, it's cool. Well, yeah, let's watch this. And wow, this movie hit. It was a rough movie for me to watch, but I don't know how much of mine was more of the context of how I watched it. So
during a race riot.
yeah. I actively just watching the building across from me burn down. No, I had the flu this past week, which was great. Spoilers for everyone from last week's episode. I did catch it. It's awesome. And I was recovering, but still, when you have the flu, you feel like achy and kind of dizzy. And I don't want to say I was in and out of it or anything. I don't think I had a fever, but just I watched it while at work because I worked with flu because life sucks, but you got to do what you got to do. And I'm sitting there watching this film, and for the most part, I got to watch it in one sitting. But there were pieces that got broken up. But I watched the bulk of the middle and the end of the movie all in one sitting, and I don't know if it was just the stress of the film itself or if it was the flu or both. What it was, but it could not have gone by slower. I actually thought that the whole day had gone by, and I was like, "Is this only 2 hours? What the fuck happened to me?" That's not to say it was bad. It's just I was very stressed and I felt exhausted watching this movie.
Did you have headphones on? Because there's a lot of N-bombs in there, right?
Yes, I had headphones. Oh, I like yelled. I was like, "Hey, are we cool with the N-word?" No, I watched this with headphones, and I sat in a dark room with headphones, and feeling sick as shit with a heater between my legs to keep me warm while I was bundled up in my office. And yeah, it was pretty miserable, but also maybe it heightened the experience of the movie. I don't know. Very, very stressful movie.
It did make me stressed out a lot, especially when they're going into the rooms and doing the scared tactics, where that kid that looks like the Joker but not really the Joker is a racist fuck and like shooting near the head. And then that one dude, like, I gotta shoot him now in order to, be with the boys. And he actually does kill one. And that part, like, fucking, I was like tense. I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? It felt like a horror, like that part was like shot like a Halloween or Friday the 13th type of slasher shit going on. It was like so intense.
Yeah, but I would agree. I felt like that the movie kind of flipped on its head a little bit. Like, we knew what it was going to be about, so it's racially charged, but I feel like the story or the pace of the movie just completely falls like on its head, and it just becomes so much more intense. And if you don't even think about it in the context of it being about race, just the people that you are following are being held in such an intense and horrible situation just even that alone, with no other context or scope, was just really intense to watch. It was very stressful to see, and then to see how it plays out. I did think that they somehow managed to put one of the dumbest stereotypical jokes right smack in the middle of what's effectively the horror sequence of the film. And I'll explain more about what I mean by that, but let's start with the sidebar. I know I'm like commandeering the conversation here, but it's worth it. Trust me. So, three guys are at work. We're not going to give them racial profiles. We're not going to say one's white, one's black, or one's Polish, or none of that dumb sense. But just three guys are at work, and one of them's not as bright as the other two. We'll just leave it at that. And they're all eating their lunch, and they're all complaining about how tired they are of eating the same thing every time they eat at lunch. So someone sees something shining in the distance, and the devil pops up and says, "I heard your story, and you guys should be thankful for what you have. Tomorrow, if you eat the same thing, or your wife packed you the same thing, then you will die." So the next day comes, and newscasters show up after lunchtime because some horrible tragedies happened at the workplace, and they're interviewing people to try to figure out what happened. And there are these women that are super upset, and they're telling the story of what happened. I guess, like, witnesses have recalled, like, oh, the devil showed up and killed these guys because they opened their lunch pails. They got the same food, and wife one and two are so upset. They're like, if he just would have told me to pack him something different, I would have done it. And the third wife is just pissed and then like hysterically laughing, and she's like, I just don't get it. That dumb fucker packs his own lunch. So the reason I tell this story is they somehow managed to do that exact same thing in this movie, but in the most intense way, because they had guy 1, 2, and I guess you could say 3 all in on the story that, hey, we're playing a game with them to manipulate them to tell us to confess into this.
Okay.
And the third guy's like, so yeah, you would do this, boss? And he's like, yeah, you got this. Wink, wink. And he's like, oh, okay. And he takes him in there, shoots the guy, comes out, oh man, I don't feel very good. I did it, boss. That was tough. I just watched. I was like, "You dumb motherfucker! What were you thinking?"
That's what he said too.
Poor
We're
guy.
supposed to actually shoot him. It's like...
And they got the perfect looking guy. They got like fucking Chris Pratt on Temu to come in and play this guy, and just be a dumb oaf that is just trying to fit in and do what he's told. Which in a way, you kind of feel a little bad for him, but not really. But yeah, that's the essence of what I took from it, and it's not even like that. It's funny, but in a weird, dark way, it kind of is. But it was more just very cruel. But yeah, it stuck out to me a little bit. I couldn't help but chuckle a little bit, and I was like, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it I don't know. That's the way I saw it, so I thought it was.
Andy, what about you? What would you pick out from this movie, as far as?
This movie is kind of hard to judge, just because it's a well-made movie. Like the director, she does this weird thing where she always has 4 cameras and they're always in motion, and that's how the movie's cut together. It's neat. It's a cool way to edit a movie together. And there's a bunch of reviews for this movie from like on the IMDb. It says something like Rolling Stone and a bunch of other things, and like, oh, it's a hardcore masterpiece is one of them. Like, the movie's amazing. It's a masterpiece. What a work of American cinema. And it is. It's a really good movie. But was I, and I'm not supposed to, but am I having a good time watching a good movie for 2.5 hours? Not really. And I understand you're not supposed to, but that's like, at some point, like, we have a podcast where we rank movies based on how well we like them. Like, I like watching the James Bond movies, but this is not the same thing as that. This is, if someone called this movie important, I'll call this movie important. Certainly. I mean, this is something that really happened, and the accuracy of it is, kind of in the air. And the movie even says that before the credit roll. Says, look, some of the stuff, we don't know the facts, so we had to fill in the holes ourselves. And like it feels weird discussing this movie, on a podcast where we have also discussed all of the Resident Evil movies. Like I feel like it's two completely different things. One of them, we've talked about this before. There are movies and there are films. This feels even more dramatically removed from that. And again, it's technically speaking, if you could strip every ounce of emotion from this movie, it's very well made and very well shot and very well acted and very well directed and blah blah blah. Well scored even. I like the music in it. But like, you're not having a nice time watching this movie, and that's the sticking point for me. I had to watch it in 2 sit downs, and it wasn't like I wasn't like emotionally exhausted. It's just I felt the length of this movie as well. I kept like wiggling the mouse and be like, God damn it, am I at least halfway through this movie yet? And I never was. I never was.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better because I honestly thought it may have been that I just was sick, but it felt like the movie just crawled. But again, I think it like goes to what you had said. It's directly proportional to when you are watching something that is unsettling. Things can go a bit longer, or at least the perception is they're longer than it really is. And I felt like that's how this movie hit for me. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. This movie is very well executed. It's directed well, and it's an important movie. It definitely falls in the category of one of those movies that, maybe I'm jumping ahead a little, but it's one of those movies that I would say is a good movie that I would never watch again.
No, I don't see myself watching this again.
Right, because again, there's no entertainment to it, and like you said, in the pantheon of things that are the Big Trouble archives, like this is also in the same category technically as Microwave Massacre.
Yeah, Microwave Massacre, Mana's Hands of Fate, Detroit.
Yeah.
Suburban Commando, Detroit.
Yeah, and that's not to say it's a bad movie. Just more just like we happen to cover those films. But
I mean, there's a lot of good movies that I would consider good that I'll never watch again. I'll never watch Kramer versus Kramer again, but that movie's great.
Yeah, no, we've reviewed movies, and I think I've had that exact thing to say about the film. Like, oh, this was a great movie. This might be the best film I've ever watched that I'll never watch again. Like, there are a lot of films like that are like that because their point. It's like, again, what is the goal of this movie? I think the goal of this movie was to make people feel exactly the way it did. So when you look at it that way, like it is doing its job.
I guess there's millions and millions of dollars wrapped up in this movie for me to watch it and be like, wow, those cops were racist. Wow, black people had a bad time in America in the 60s. I already knew that. Like, what is the purpose of this movie? Like, a 40-minute documentary could have told me the same thing. I could have read a Wikipedia article and got the same thing. So why the movie?
Yeah, you know what I kind of wish they did in this movie? Instead of just made the chunk of it seeing the actual fucking act that happened in that hotel, was maybe in the first hour they should have shown the hotel scene, and then the next hour, like, because they explain that eventually they go after one of the cops for the civil court and all that stuff. It would have been nice to see something like that there, to see the redemption, because all it does is show that horror scene and then literally the cops winning in the end. And then
I mean, that's kind of the point, is like it's showing but honestly it kind of sucks, and it's important for the movie. Like, you got to have that conclusion of the 3 murderous cops getting acquitted or whatever. But like after it moves on to like days later and then the court and stuff, like, I hate to say it, I kind of got bored. Like, the writing was on the wall. I think I already I think just knowing history like I do, I think I already knew what was coming. So it was like I was pre-outraged, and because the outrage had already set in, I just kind of got bored.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it wasn't exciting. It wasn't as well shot anymore. It wasn't as exciting. But I guess if you were sitting down and watch this movie and you didn't know what happened, maybe you're conditioned by Hollywood to expect a happy ending. Maybe it would be more poignant for you, I guess.
But I think that may be more of the point. Like, I guess, like, are you this specific incident? Like, were you aware of it at all, or like
I heard about it? I didn't really.
Yeah. I was aware of it. We
Yeah.
talked about it in some class I took at some point. I can't remember.
Right. Like it may have been something that had been discussed. I mean, I had known of rioting that had happened in the 60s, but I don't think I had known about any specific incident like this.
I get this and the Watts riots confused sometimes, but for the most part, I already knew a lot of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that I'd like to think too, like our generation, like there was still, I think, effort to try to teach things that like this that have happened. Where you look depending on what their target audience is. There's a lot of younger people that would argue tooth and nail with you that none of this ever happened. I mean, it just is what it is, right? So again, it just depends on what their target was or what their audience was. And I mean, I don't think I necessarily have to walk away from a film. Like I think I can at least come to terms and be okay with watching a film like this if I've took something from it or if I've learned something from it. I mean, I guess it's not really that I learned anything differently, like you said. I learned about a specific incident, and yeah, there is this thing that you feel unsatisfied at the end, but you're supposed to. That's the point. It's this harsh, reality that is kind of tied up to the movie. But you touched on something, and I think this is my criticism of the film. The pacing is so damn weird in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a build up in a way, and you kind of know what's happening, but not really. Then you get almost like this horror film thrown in the middle, and then the end kind of just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the end almost feels like a prerequisite. They're like, okay, we'll tell you what happened after that, but it's not like what the movie's about, sort of.
Yeah, and it's not dramatized in the same way. It's just very flat and just kind of happens. And I'd almost wonder, not that I guess I can play, backseat director, but had this movie had the narrative of maybe, like I think Dubs, you mentioned it, like if you would have started with just the right and heat in the moment, right there, they're in the hotel, and you don't know anything about any of the characters that and one by one they start to peel back and show flashbacks to someone's story, their attachments. And like as you're seeing that, like you're breaking up some of the things that happen that are intense, but you're also learning about them as they go. And then that's when they hit you with more of it. Maybe that's a better way to kind of break the story up in the pacing. I don't know. I mean, maybe that takes away what their goal or their aim was with this film. I don't know. But because of it, though, yeah. I mean, I definitely watched this and felt unsatisfied to the point that I had to hunt for things to watch to make myself feel better. And it worked in the best way ever. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, it almost felt like a gnawing sensation in my stomach watching it. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. And I don't mean that, like the whole, like, oh, racism's bad. Like, and it sounds fucked up to say that, but because that matters, right? That part definitely matters. It's more the dissatisfaction for, okay, I learned about characters. I wanted to see some type of resolve or resolution for these characters. I wanted retribution of some kind, and you get nothing. And it just sucks.
I mean, that's the thing, is it walks that line between being a cinematic experience and being about history, because it has to stick to what actually happened. And what actually happened isn't like a celebratory thing. Right.
No, agreed. Not to mention, too, like, because they're filling in gaps and can't play to true nature, like, the parts of cinema that stand out the most are the most horrible things, not the drama that gives you some type of closure. And I think that's one thing that it falls short with, is because you're using some pieces to dramatize a story, but then the other, you're just letting it kind of just be there. And not that you need to change it. I mean, again, it kind of just is what it is. It exists. Take it for what it is. But again, you just if you're just looking at this strictly from being a viewer, wanting, if you read this as a book or something, I can see this one of those things where it just eats at you. And I'm sure there's plenty of other films that are like this. I've got like a list of these films that people have recommended to me that I keep thinking about watching, but I'm like, I'm gonna need a few hours after I watch this to decompress. Otherwise, I feel this is a bad idea.
I mean, this is even worse because it actually happened.
But exactly, this is worse because it's also true. You have to walk away with it, and also there is also some relation to what is currently going on in our political landscape in the country now.
Well, this
Whether we
movie
want to face that or not,
2017, which is very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I thought so too. Because I honestly, when I saw the timing, I didn't know what it was about. I kind of thought the movie was about something in the more modern. I didn't realize it was about something that happened in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, you tried to say something a couple times. What did you try to say?
Oh, I was going to say something about how I was like, no, that time dilation thing is real. Like when you're watching this movie, because I wasn't sick either, and I was just like, when's this? Where am I at? And then I was like, oh, I'm not even halfway through it yet. Okay. And then I had to do it again like another 20, 30 minutes later, but it felt like 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, God damn, there's another hour left.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. You guys kind of said a lot of the same stuff I would have said, which was like,
say it again.
I don't know. I'll watch this movie ever again after I'm done with it. It just kind of is what it is. I took it in and I'm like, yeah, that sucks. That sucks that happened.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. Nobody I was related to was there. That stuff should not happen again. And then I don't know. Yeah, it felt like they're trying to balance being a dramatized documentary with a movie, and it didn't work. The plates went out of control or something a little bit.
Yeah.
That's probably about it.
If I can ask an uncomfortable question, is it weird that a white woman directed this movie?
No, I don't know. I mean, you can always. I think it's weird the person that ended up directing it did this movie, specifically her.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Now I'm doing Detroit. Like, okay.
Yeah. Can you elaborate? I don't know anything about the person.
Kathryn Bigelow. She did Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30.
Hurt Locker's cool.
I hate Hurt Locker.
Really?
I don't know if hate's the right word. Like, I watched it and I was like, I don't get it. Because it won Best Picture that year, so I was like, oh, I'll watch Hurt Locker. This movie's gonna be great because I like military shit too. And I don't know, something about it didn't sit right with me. But that was a decade ago. That was a long time ago.
A really long time ago.
She also directed Near Dark though. That movie kicks ass. I've never seen Zero Dark 30, and she's directed some other stuff too. But that's the big stuff.
Maybe she has family relationships with the two white women that were in that hotel. And throughout this whole movie, I'm trying to be lighthearted a little bit. I kept on saying RoboCop wouldn't do this.
It's true. They need RoboCop.
I mean, that's why RoboCop. This is a prequel. This is the type of shit that led to RoboCop existing. There you go.
Literally a prequel to RoboCop because RoboCop is supposed to take place, in crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Andy, I don't think so. But there would probably be a lot of people probably angry about that.
Yeah. For the record, I'm okay with it. I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to bring it up to see if anyone would say something funny.
I didn't know, and it's funny. I had all these plans to do a little more research on this, but the time between watching it and then now, I've been so busy between work and then just recharging from having flu that I just didn't go back to I wanted to look up they mention at the end before
they
credit roll
stuff.
Yeah, they had to fill things in, but then I wondered how much did we fill in? Because there's also some contrived things about this film and it had to be stuff they filled in, the whole bit of his name Carl, the guy that has the toy gun. He goes through that whole story to explain why black people feel the way they do, just living day to day in America at that time, to these white girls. So again, he's giving that.
Yeah, that's the screenwriter having fun.
Yeah, he's giving that he's giving that full exposition on how being black feels, right? But then immediately just completely squashes that whole idea by going,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to teach them, watch this, and does something so fucking stupid. And again, I'm not blaming him for that. That's not at all it, because that does not justify what happens. But given he just gives that exact example of is how fucked up it is just to walk around and exist, to then go and actively antagonize something like that, it's like, that seems like kind of fucking stupid. But okay, whatever. It's something that you just accept, whatever, because it doesn't justify the horrible things that they go through following that. It almost the same thing too, like the military police being so in and out, or the military that are involved, the guard, like
The National Guard, yeah.
they do that whole trope of, oh well, we don't want to like get involved and cause. Well, there's a lot of paperwork.
I mean,
that seems very wrong.
Too.
I think that's what was not funny, but like funny at the same time, because they did like goofy things. Like some of the state police is like, no, I'm gonna walk out, and they do like the whole Homer Simpson like walking back into a bush.
That didn't even seem goofy to me. It just seemed like, I mean, that made sense to me. They're like they're violating civil liberties in there, and he was like, well, I'm not even gonna be in that house. I'm not even gonna be questioned about this. Like even in the 60s, they were like, I'm not going to get wrapped up in a situation where they're going to accuse me of having violated someone's civil liberties, especially based on race.
Yeah, and then you had
like
some of the...
He's so scared of that, he doesn't do his job.
Yeah. And some of the Detroit cops, like, even reported it to, like, the sergeant or whatever. They're like, hey, they're, like, committing, some civil rights laws in there, and like, and they just like ignore it. And I'm like, such assholes. I'm like, what the fuck? And then that's why I was like, maybe if I saw the civil lawsuit of them getting money from this, I could have had some happiness ending to it.
They give you a paragraph. It's $5,000. Whoa, like that itself is a joke. Like that's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, here, another thing that I had that I thought was contrived. So that right at the beginning of the movie, they set up the stage for who your antagonists are going to be. Dude is actively in the car talking about the mess that's happening. They see some person breaking out. He tells them to stop, shoots them. That guy ends up dying, right? So they know this is happening. So a detective has already pulled him aside, talks to him about it, kind of dresses him down in terms of like, listen, don't be an arrogant prick, you racist piece of shit, and tells him, I'm going to tell the DA to press charge for murder, and then just lets him go.
Yeah.
What? Like he's like, okay, go on and work your shift.
Charged yet?
Well, sure, but the
you
fact
can't
that
detain someone if you haven't charged, I mean,
And plus, there's a lot of union reps too that they have to like jump through.
Really? Yeah, I mean, as we learn later in the movie.
Sure, but even then, like, and again, I can't say that I know exactly. I'm not a police officer, never have been, but I would imagine if you have anyone in that situation, proper procedure at minimum would be to take them off the field or take them out of the field, right? Like,
I don't think it's that guy's call. I think he says, I'm going to go to the DA. I'm going to recommend that they remove you from active duty, that they lock you up, that they take you to trial, whatever. But I don't think that guy gets to do that.
Sure. And maybe that's the point of it. It's just, I guess the wording that was used made me think it was a bit more severe in terms of where they were going with it. But then just like, all right, we'll go on. And that was that. I guess a good segue into that, and I hate saying it, it's one of my favorite parts of the film, but at least it stands out the most. That guy was a fucking asshole in that movie.
Oh yeah, he played his part well.
Holy shit, he acted well. It's everything he's in, and it's the movie that we were talking about before in the chat earlier. We're the Millers. I think that's like the first movie he was in, or one of the first films he was in, where he plays a dumbass kid. And he's like,
that weird,
we're supposed to get money.
Face.
Yeah, he does. It's the pointy fucking eyebrows.
Like Sid in Toy Story.
He does.
Yeah,
yeah. He looks like Sid from Toy Story. What's the other one I had? Tim Curry. He's a little bit of that Tim Curry like mouth. I don't know.
It helps
like,
that he's from England. He's definitely British looking.
Yeah, he's got Tim Curry's mouth and Sid the kid's face. I don't know.
Will
like his
Poulter
eyebrows.
Is his name.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
And I have seen him in other films, and he actually plays on pretty much every film I've seen him in. He's played this like weaselly type of character. I've never seen him play anything directly as villainous per se, but he's been a weasel.
I forgot he was in Midsummer. He was the guy who pissed on their tree.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized that as he did that in that movie too.
Yeah, he's yeah. So I enjoy his acting because man, he plays an asshole well. He plays a character that you want to punch in the fucking face very well.
Yeah.
Or burn up in a barn to be a sacrifice because you pissed on their tree.
Mm-hmm.
That's true too. I mean, that should have been the ending of this movie. They should have just tied them all to trees in a commune in Sweden and burned them all. I've been cool with that.
They know what's up. They got a system. It works.
John Boyega's character, state cop. He was
it's a security officer.
Oh, well, yeah. He had like a similar uniform to the Michigan State, but anyway, because he was there, he was that weirded me out too because he was on the side with the cops that in the court scene. I just got confused. I'm just like, why didn't he just like say something about it? Do you think his lawyer just told him to shut the fuck up?
Do you think he had a lawyer?
Well, Jim from The Office was technically their lawyer, wasn't he? Because he could have said something.
Well, I think he was like a witness, not necessarily. He wasn't being charged with anything in that.
Yeah, they tried to charge him at first, and I think it came undone when the police officers gave testimony to the contrary or something like that. So then I think he was an eyewitness, probably.
Yeah. He went back from suspect to witness.
I mean, he is sitting there. I wondered why that placement, but I don't know.
I thought the same thing because that's where you would sit if you were being defended. I was very confused about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to look more into. The way I took his character, it's what I couldn't decide because it felt like it towed the line between is he just trying to be the person that is just trying to do right for himself and just like I'll keep my head down and that's it, or is he actively doing this because really he wants to try to be able to be there to maybe diffuse and keep a situation from escalating?
He does that earlier in the movie, like outside the grocery store. There's I can't remember if it's a National Guardsman or a police officer yelling at some black kid, and he comes out and says, "Oh, this is my nephew." Oh, he like gets him away.
Yeah,
and then the guy's a prick to him for it.
Right. Yeah, he kept calling him Uncle Tom, which was really fucking funny. But that's what I meant though. Like he kind of toes that line the whole time. Like he does step in, but also he still looks like he's kind of there to he's working to make money.
Yeah,
he's got to.
I hate to say it, but I think he was like just kind of like authority savvy. Like he knew how to stay out of trouble himself, and sometimes it required, ignoring what might be the right thing. Which then you get in that conversation like there's true evil, and then there's like the unwillingness of good men to do the right thing, and that's evil, and blah blah blah. But yeah, whatever.
Mm.
Whatever. We talk about fucking James Bond movies right here. We're not going to get too far off the way.
I mean, I've beaten Castlevania enough times. I know the quote, but we don't have to go there. But anyway, yeah, I still don't know how I felt about his character, but it was really fucked up at the end or toward the end to see that they were going to just pin everything on him, and even the girl had changed her mind and decided, like they had kind of coerced her into saying, "Oh yeah, he's the one."
Yeah.
Nah.
It was fucked.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucked up. Yeah.
I got pissed off at the detective who's like slammed his fist on the fucking and like the ashtray like fucking like flew in the air. I was like, that's fucking unnecessary, motherfucker. Like, calm the fuck down. You already know what the fuck is going on. You just want to pin it on a black man.
Well, he thinks he's a murderer, potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. One other thing I feel like we got sidewinded by. The very beginning of the film shows the start of the riots themselves, right? But the way they show that, they have this interesting thing where, a party that's going on somewhere in an illegal club gets broken up, but it gets broken up by the leading officer that's there is black, and then he has an undercover agent who's also there that's like feeding, and they like have like a fake fight so they can then get details to figure out how to like do everything right to help get people out, but do it safely. I thought it was a really intriguing dynamic. So I thought the story was going to be more about that.
I was hoping so because I was intrigued. I was like, he's an undercover guy. Interesting.
Same. And then it went completely off. And I'm like, what was the point of showing all that then?
It was about the dynamics suddenly. I was like, oh, this is a Motown movie now.
I guess it's supposed to set up the start of that riot. Which
I assume they went over the history of it, and there was in fact like an informant there or something, and someone like the screenwriter read that and said, "I'm putting that in my movie," and they did. I don't know.
I mean, I guess so. They just like led me to think, oh man, it'd be great to have more of that, but then it wouldn't be true to what happened. But it's like, so I get it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that you get down to: do you want to make an interesting fictional movie, or do you want to make an important, cultural touchstone of a movie?
Yeah. This is Bluey all the fuck over again. Do you want to be right, or do you want to keep playing the game? Sorry for any person that does get that. Yeah, can I have both? No, you can't have both. And then she proceeds to have both because fuck children, This
don't
fucking kids, I tell you.
Yeah. Me and Andy thought in the same way, Warren.
I mean, I set it up.
So, final thoughts for me on this is it was a well-shot movie. Terrified at times. I recommend it once to watch it if you want to know the history of it. But will I recommend it to like a party of people while we're drinking? No. What about you guys?
I'll go next. I recommend it to be watched once. It is a well-made movie, and if you don't know much about the actual history, then it could be pretty interesting. It could be an interesting ride for you. They kind of lure you in with like I want to think a lot of people went to the theater to see this movie because they saw that like John Star Wars Boyega's in it, and Anthony Marvel Cinematic Universe Mackie's in it, and it's directed by Hurt Locker lady. Oh, this is going to be a good old time. And they're like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? But no, it's worth watching once. When you're hearing this, if you're hearing it the week it goes live, this movie is free on Tubi, I believe. It goes free February 1st. I had to watch it with a VPN. It's on Indonesian Netflix right now. That's how I had to watch it. But you can watch it for free. Put it on, and if like you can't stand it or it's too slow for you, like it was for us, you can turn it off. Read the Wikipedia article, get the ending. But yeah, I mean, it's a well-made movie. Like if it was a poorly made movie and everything else was still in place, I would have a hard time recommending it. But it's a good movie. It's a good watch. It's just it's a rough. It's a rough on you.
It's a hard watch. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna echo the same sentiments you guys made. I would recommend it at least once. I think it's an important movie. I think it's a very weighty movie, so just be ready for that. And I don't know. I guess to add something else that's more comical, like this movie would be better if it had vampires.
That's true. It would be.
Like if you just take that whole sequence that's about to happen and shit's about to get real. But then one of the white girls is a vampire.
I think that feels like a movie that's...
It feels like a movie that's happened, right? It does feel like someone took that and said, oh, but we should make one of them a vampire.
Dusk Till Dawn. You guys are talking... It's a heist movie and then it becomes a vampire movie.
That's close enough.
I thought there was something else, but yeah.
I mean, vampires would be cool. Bill Paxton. But get Bill Paxton in there, I would have been happy.
Nice night for a walk, huh? Anyway.
But in all seriousness, yeah, I would recommend this movie, but I have no intention or desire to ever watch it again because it's pretty heavy.
Zach, what about you?
2 out of 10, no RoboCop.
There we go.
No, yeah, I've already said like, I probably wouldn't really recommend it unless you want to like feel bad. You want to feel bad, and then you want to feel mad, and then you feel bad again.
Mad and bad.
Mad and bad. That's kind of it. It's well made and everything, etc. But I don't know. I'm also wondering, like, why did this get made? I'm pondering that more. It's just,
like, this is gonna sound derogatory toward the movie. This is gonna sound bad, and maybe it is a little bit. Maybe it is a little bit. But you know how there's this thing now that stand-up comedians are doing, and like late night talk show hosts, like Saturday Night Live and stuff. Like they're not really only going for laughter anymore. They go for what a lot of people call clapter, which is where they say something that's so true, and people like clap.
We support this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, whatever. My politician, or you know, trans rights, or whatever, something. Support Ukraine, Palestine. Who cares? And people, it's instead of laughter, it's clapter, and that's what they're going for. And this feels like the movie equivalent of that in a way. It's like, look at the good thing we're doing and talking about. And again, that sounds like I'm being harder on it than I really am. But I had that thought watching this movie. It reminds me of stand-up comedians who are trying to get clapter instead of laughter.
Well, it is produced and written by a bunch of white people and Jewish people.
Well,
I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there, man, for real. It is.
That's kind of funny.
That's kind of interesting.
But you know what else is interesting? What's next week's movie?
Nope. I'm not telling you.
But you did.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's nope.
Yeah,
we're gonna have fun this time.
A lot of fun. This movie rules.
Will we have fun in certain parts? I mean, yeah, we'll have fun.
This movie kicks ass.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just good. I mean, it kind of like addresses like, oh man, that's fucking real shit there. But like, it's not like tying a boat or an anchor around your neck and making you feel the weight of it. It touches things.
Yes. So remember to watch Nope, and then next episode we will talk about it. Don't have an ad yet, so what's the next segment, Andy?
Host credit scene. Playing, watching, doing, enjoying. What have you been doing? I'll go first because mine's easy. Yakuza Kiwami 2. That's it. That's all my free time lately. I haven't watched any movies. I haven't really. No, that's not true. I listened to a fuckload of hardcore history because I got stuck on the interstate for 6 hours. But other than that, it's just been Yakuza. That game rules, but I haven't beat it, so I'll hold off on gushing about it. But I did get to I got to the Majima construction minigame. Anyone who's played the game will know what I'm talking about. They, I was playing Infinite Wealth, and I kept telling you guys, oh, there's a whole Pokemon in here. There's a whole Crazy Taxi in here. Well, there's like a whole MOBA in Kiwami 2. And, it plays a lot like the Fort Condor nonsense in Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like on a little construction site, and there's guys coming in to bust up your construction site, and you gotta move your units around, and it's those Yakuza games. Like, you think you're buying one game, you're not. You're buying 8.
Like it's every time.
Yep. And then you run down to the arcade and play all of Virtual Fighter and all of Virtual One, and it's just all.
That's why you brought up Virtual Fighter, huh? In the chat. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, Virtual Fighter 2.1 is in the game. It specifies 2.1. I guess it's like the arcade. They dressed it up a little bit. It's just that in Virtual One, which is a little disappointing after how robust the arcade offerings were in Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth. But no, that's fine. I'm looking forward to. I have a lot to play before I get there, but I want to play Gaiden because it's got Daytona USA 2 in it, and that rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of them have extra games. There's also I'm running a maid cafe now, and that's another mini game. Like, all the guys come in, and you have to tell the girls when to switch out, and you got to go over and give them new ice or get a new drink or talk the guy into staying, or if he's not paying a lot, you kick his ass out, and Another
Maid
mini game.
Cafe Simulator.
Oh, so many. It's like Idolmaster and Dota and Pokemon. All.
Do they still have the batting cages minigame?
It was in Kiwami 1. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm 7 chapters in to this game, and I haven't come across it. But I haven't been everywhere. There's a bunch of mini games I just haven't done. I haven't sang karaoke once yet, and Kiryu loves karaoke. Canonically, he loves karaoke. But yeah, I'm still peeling back all the layers on that game. I'll talk more about it in the coming weeks, I'm sure. But that's all my free time. That game is addictive. I can't tear myself away.
All right, Chaz, you're up.
All right, you guys ready?
Mhm.
Everyone's sitting down, so no one fall over.
Cards.
Okay.
I didn't play cards this time.
Jesus Christ!
The streak is broken.
No cards were played. I took a break. Just taking a break. And in all fairness, some of that was I had flu, so I didn't go anywhere. But also, I worked when I didn't have flu, so I did actually watch a few things, and I started playing some more games. I'm really putting work into the whole accelerated gamer, logging those hours. But I watched Castlevania Nocturne Season 2, which I thought was pretty good.
I still haven't watched Season 2.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I can't tell if they kind of wrapped it up in a way that like the story that was there in 1 is done. So I mean they could go on, and but I don't know. They did enough things to go ahead and kind of tie a bow on it as if it's not going to continue. And I guess that's fine, but it'd be cool to see more of what they would do with the story. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed that they took some chances on just creating unique storylines that nothing related to the games at all, and just made stuff up, and that's fine. I thought it was done really well. I also still think Alrox's character is just really fucking cool. It's like Aztec dragon vampire thing. And he turns into like one of those mythical Aztec dragons or serpents. It's just fucking cool looking. But anyway, I enjoyed it a lot. The animation's really cool, especially in some of the fights. Like the fights I think it's the second to last episode, and then the last episode too. The animation for those fights are really, really cool. I think I'd finished Donkey Kong Country when we talked before.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I just finished it, but I thought I was gonna try to earn the completionist on it, right? And then they were like, here, I got to like the golden banana, got all the stuff, and then they were like, oh, here's mirror mode and all these time trial shits, and I'm like, fuck that. So I moved on.
That's too much.
I'm not playing all of these levels in the reverse order.
It's a running thing with that series, though, is like it gets really into that collectathon shit after 2.
Oh,
yeah. You're doing all this other shit, and then it's like it just seems like every game after that they keep piling more and more of that kind of stuff on. It's like, God, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I ate so much of it, and I figured, you know what, this is fine. S+, I'll take it. It's fine. But it was fun. The game's a blast. I mean, I definitely recommend it. Probably, in all fairness, it's probably worth waiting until it goes on sale. Because again, looking back, like maybe splurging $60 on it was a bit much. Because I mean, I burned through it and I'm done. And I have no intention of going back for a while. So maybe it's more of a $40 banger, but it's pretty good. Unfortunately, because of its name, it's probably not going on sale for anytime soon.
Yeah,
but
with the Nintendo tax associated with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I did play more in Complete Blood Omen, which I'll save my comments for everything on that when we do our review of it. But yeah, I enjoyed myself. I actually enjoyed myself so much, I went ahead and started Soul Reaver. And I played like an hour of Soul Reaver. I got into it. I mean, it is the direct sequel to it, but also the time gap is like thousands of years. It's wild how that works, but so far I've enjoyed it. But then I got into a weird thing where my family was like, we all have flu together, can you please not be like a chode and sit upstairs by yourself? Can you sit with your family since we're all miserable? And I was like, sure. I have a Nintendo Switch. I can join you. so
I'll be nearby, but I will not be experiencing things with you.
yeah, we're not going to be doing the same thing. So we all laid in vegetative states next to each other and did respectively different things. And mine was I started Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and I'm pretty far into it already. Let's see. I just got the 3rd star. I think I'm like 15 or 16 hours in, and I'm like doing all the side quests as I get to them. I am proud of myself. So one of the things about that game is when you get to the 3rd area or 3rd part of the story, chapter 3, Yoshi's the partner that you get, but Yoshi is a different color depending on how quickly you figure out the puzzle to get him. And the only way to get the original is to do it within like the first like 6 minutes. I got the green Yoshi. I was very proud of myself.
Oh.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't even want green. I'd want blue. I want that Boshi.
oh sure. I wanted the green one. I think it's more like I wanted the green one because
It's the reward.
Yeah, exactly. It's the reward. You get the Yoshi, right? And then I named him Chaz because you get to name him in this game.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got a Yoshi named Chaz. He's cool. He's got a little mohawk, but
I'm gonna name mine Gooner when I play mine.
Gooner.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I did, and I'm really proud of this one. I cannot recommend this more than it. Like, this might be my go-to from now on. If ever I'm really down or like something I watched was too heavy. I watched Space King 1 and 2.
Yeah, let's go.
Holy shit, Space King is so fucking funny.
Isn't it? It's the best thing ever made.
Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. I think one of my favorite things, I pissed out laughing. Just like, I burst out in laughter several times, but one of my favorite things was right in the middle of the show. They just cut to like this really corny ass fucking cereal commercial, and they're like, "Hate Mongeros," and they're like, "Isn't he gay?" He's like, "Nah, he just doesn't like aliens." It's a whole thing.
The reference to the first episode.
It's a reference to episode 1 about alien shows her boobs, and he's the only one that doesn't look at her boobs, and they're like,
"Why weren't you transfixed by her boobs, hate monger?"
And he's like, "I don't like aliens." And they're like, "Ah, hate monger's gay." And he's like, "I'm not gay. I don't like aliens." And he's
okay,
mad about it. Gay. It's just a whole thing. That show's fucking hilarious, and it was the perfect thing to offset watching Detroit because I was just like so weighed down and thought, and of course, like I just had enough downtime at work. But I watched this, and I was just back there laughing, and someone had to come check on me because I was cackling. I was crying laughing. That show is so fucking funny.
I love it.
I've hyped it now to like infinity now, but really watch it.
Did you also watch the short video about someone tried to buy the show and Hate Monger says they'll send that GIF of the enema every time?
Yes, it's fucking great.
Because that's required as well.
No, but yeah, it's great. I need to get their Patreon. I watch these all on YouTube. I haven't watched the uncensored or anything. I need to get their Patreon and follow them though.
I'm on the Patreon. That it's cool. The unedited stuff is pretty cool. Extra violent and naked boobs.
Yeah, boobs and violence, great. Oh man, but yeah, that's all I got.
All right. I played more Blood Omen. Didn't get too very far because I got frustrated by the controls a little bit.
Yeah, they're rough.
Yeah, because I would be like hitting and I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking killing. And then I would use my spells, and then all of a sudden they just fucking spam fucking orbs or whatever the fuck at me, and they kill me, and I'm just like,
you have the reflect spell yet?
Not yet, no.
Oh, you gotta hammer it out. You gotta hammer it out till you get that, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the game, it's weird. That game just opens up once you get certain spells, and then you just become unstoppable.
Good, because that's where I want to be, is unstoppable.
It's coming.
Okay. Yeah. So I played a little bit of that. Then I played more Severed Steel. I got like 14 more levels to go, and I beat that game, and that'll be added to my Accelerated Gamer. I also dabbled a little bit of Mario 64 just to play around. I didn't get too far. I was like, man, I don't know what it is. Me playing like 64 games is rough these times. I don't know if I'm just used to how controls are these days, but Mario 64, the camera, the Banjo-Kazooie camera type of thing going on, annoys me a little bit.
Super Mario 64 is one of the most heavily modified games for emulator. And if you really wanted to play it with like modern day, contrivances or whatever, there's probably something you can download. You can use it with modern controls. You can play it 4-player co-op. That's what I was telling you guys I wanted to do. I wanted to play Super Mario 64 4-player co-op, and you're just all doing everything at the same time. It looks hilarious, but there's different skins and different filters and shaders and everything like that. That's one of the games that people have cracked into the most as far as 3D stuff goes. So you might look at it if you're still interested in playing some good old fashioned 64.
Yeah, I'll look into it. And I dabbled in some anime. I started Gundam: The Origin, which is I like it so far, but I had a gummy, so I had to like stop before I didn't remember everything. But I did enjoy the first 3 episodes of it, and then I watched Terminator Zero, the anime on Netflix.
Oh,
that fucking anime is cool. It's weird because I don't know if this is like an isolated story or it's part of the backstory of Terminator. It's based in 1997, where robot are a thing now. Like it's like the future, but it's in 1997. And there's this guy called Mr. Lee, who has another AI called Kokoro, and he's trying to create this AI to fight against Skynet because he's having dreams about the Skynet pretty much nuking the whole world. So he's like, I gotta make this fucking AI to beat Skynet. And Kokoro is like, well, why should we save you? You humans suck. And like cause wars and stuff. And he like freaks out and stuff. And I'm at to the point where he turns on Kokoro, and apparently, because they send a Terminator in a time machine, and then obviously a human rebel to come stop that Terminator, and the human rebel's like, when Kokoro gets online, she alliances herself with Skynet, and I'm like, fuck, what's happening? So I'm having fun with it.
Is this what started that whole AI discussion?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I thought so after you started. I was like, I fucking hate AI. It should die because it betrayed everybody.
Yeah. But I highly recommend it. The art is really cool. It's made by Skydance. Have you guys ever watched any Skydance stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
That sounds familiar.
They're like a big anime production company.
They also done like video games, I believe, as well. The art's really cool, and the voice acting is really cool. It's Terminator Zero. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend it. I also watch Who Are These Podcasts, because Opie Unleash. That's like my new
Opie Unleashed NYC.
Yeah. So if you guys remember Opie and Anthony, they were
not in this market.
Well, they were like Howard Stern, just a different competition in New York City and stuff. And Opie and Anthony eventually break up. Anthony has Compound Media, and Opie is still doing Opie's things. So literally, Opie goes around New York City with his phone and just talks bullshit stuff. So like
he half-assedly harasses people, but it's not funny. It's just kind of like cringy, and he thinks he's hilarious. It's kind of sad, but it's also funny.
Like he goes, look at this 9/11 memorial. It's like a fire department, and he like looks inside of it, and there's like a candy bar. He's like, what asshole fucking puts a candy bar in here? So he takes it out of the memorial and like throws it on the ground. Doesn't even throw it into the trash. So the Who Are These Podcast people are like, what if like one of those fighters that died in 9/11 actually liked that candy bar, and that's what they're memorialing him for?
They're like one of their relatives left them a payday or something.
Yeah.
It's whatchamacallit they left, and it's like maybe he just liked them. Maybe it's something to do. Like it's not a rapper; it's an actual candy. It's clearly like left there on purpose.
Yeah, it wasn't open or anything. It was like a fucking full candy bar.
Why would you throw it on the ground? Just eat it.
He's an idiot. You know,
He's an idiot.
But he goes into like a bodega or a convenience store or something. He's like, "Where's the envelopes? Do you have envelopes?" And the clerk's like, "Yeah, they're over there." And he like goes over there. He's like, "I don't see them. Are they next to the feminine hygiene products? Where's the envelopes?" And some person in the aisle is like, "They're right here, dude." And he like gets him and buys them. He says, "I'm sorry if I was distracting. I'm sorry if I was disruptive. Here, I only have tens. I have like $1,000 in tens." And then he leaves and like chuckles to himself.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
This
this is a guy
but
who
we're
made
laughing.
millions of dollars being a radio personality.
Right. But like you're not laughing with him. You're laughing
Right,
at
you're
him.
like, what is wrong with
Yeah.
him? Like,
Yeah.
he has like he has a beach house in the Hamptons, and he has like a huge apartment in like in New
Skyrise.
York. Yeah, a skyrise, and like he's just fucking around making these dumbass videos on his phone that have like a few hundred views.
Mhm.
Doesn't make any damn sense.
Like, how far can you possibly fall? This is a candidate.
Yeah, the recent video that just came out, he was like sitting on a bench and stuff. He's like, "I'm here drinking my $4.50 coffee," and he's like, "I could have went to Starbucks, but I went to the Mama Papa shop." And I'm like, so one of the hosts on Who Are These podcasts was like, you know, he named Starbucks but doesn't mention the Mama Papa shop. What a douche.
What the? Yeah.
That's true, actually.
But yeah, that's like my new craving of seeing stupid people on the internet is Opie Unleash NYC. And Who Are These podcasts? They had Anthony Cumia on, and he was explaining like Opie fired back at Anthony Cumia, be like, "Look at those glasses he's wearing. They're very like." He like named a person that had like the same glasses.
That's
Yeah.
this dude's brain's rotten or some shit. It's like, look at those fucking headphones Chaz is wearing. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of thing.
And Opie's feuding with Jim Norton because like Opie's like, "I made Jim Norton," which is not true. Jim Norton's funny.
I think Opie is saying things about Jim. I don't know that Jim even like has Opie on his radar.
Well, it's funny because the recent video, they looked at a tweet from Jim Norton that didn't say anything about Opie. Literally, the tweet was like, you know, being really vague about.
Could have been talking about anyone.
Yeah. And Opie quote tweets it and like calls him an asshole, and he says, "By the way, here's my YouTube channel," and he posted it on it. I'm like, what a
because he knows people are going to see a Jim Norton tweet. They're not going to see
his tweet,
an Opie tweet. Yeah.
So if you want like the cut down version, go on Who Are These podcasts. They're covering everything, and obviously Anthony Cumia is responding to whatever Opie's saying it because he knows Opie will fucking lose his mind when Anthony Cumia speaks up. Other than that, I think. Oh, and I watched some NFL and fuck the Chiefs. I hope they fucking lose the Super Bowl. Those fucking.
They're gonna win again because it's work.
It's a work, brother.
I ain't even worried about it. I canceled my YouTube TV after the Detroit Lions got knocked out, so I ain't even paying them the extra $80.
You are so passionate about this NFL crap. you go like real hard on these decisions.
I do. And listen, I care. It's my passion, my love.
Well, as an ex-Cowboy fan, I mean, usually Cowboy fans are usually passionate, but now he's a Lions fan, so
Or retarded, but
or is he?
Yeah.
Nope. Fuck the Cowboys.
Fuck the Giants. I hate them too.
Fuck the Eagles. See, here's the thing. I literally have no desire because I'll burn in hell before I root for the Eagles, and I'm gonna root for the Kansas City refs. Who gives a shit? It's boring. I don't care about it, so I'm done. Next season we'll come back.
That's all well and good, but as long as we're saying fuck football teams, fuck Ohio State, man. They don't even have the best record, and they get to be the champion. That's so stupid. I hate it.
I was rooting for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But Zach, what about you?
Oh, let me pull up my thing here. I watched a little bit more of 1995 ECW stuff.
Is it getting better or worse?
I think that whole theory about watch the TV, I think that might be the correct way to watch it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get the actual pay-per-view cards going, which is like, I think 96 or 97. Because these aren't pay-per-view events that we're watching. They're like super cards, and they fucking, record them on their bad cameras. And then I'm not joking. They have like...
They were untelevised?
Yeah. I mean, like, they probably were televised on the local channels, up there in that area.
Up in Bumfuckville or whatever.
Philly? Yeah, Philly. Yeah. I mean, Philly's fucking shithole, but I would call it bumfuck Egypt. But yeah, and then they would like super cut random shit from like other shows they did into that show. That is it's odd. It's like a Frankenstein of a wrestling show. Anyways, though, yeah, the TV might be the better way to watch ECW. I watched a match with Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko as part of that series of matches they had before they leave ECW. That's all happening in August.
Nice.
It was a good match. I think these are a little overrated now because what I noticed was I think both these guys were working way too fast. It gets borders on the territory of like you're watching the flippy do wrestling. Is like that's what it kind of feels like. It's like they're trying to go through all their moves and they're not really selling enough. There's not really any psychology. It's just like, look at all the cool moves we can do. They tried to do psychology at first, but then the crowd started chanting boring at them, and I think it pressured them to go faster.
Yeah, because ECW fans are fucking retarded. Being honest.
Yeah,
a little bit.
If no one's bleeding and no one's fucking moving fast, it's like it's nothing to them.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but
they need a bunch of wrestlers out there just jangling keys.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good way to put it. Key jangle wrestling. Do a bunch of moves, do flips, but like the funniest part in that match though was like after they cranked the speed up, so to speak, and started doing a bunch of shit. They went outside, and then somebody was trying to give Eddie Guerrero a chair. Like, come on, because they do that thing where they hand people objects from the front row to hit a guy with it. And Eddie grabbed the chair and said, like, fuck you or some shit and threw it back into the crowd. And he refused to use a weapon. And I was like, you know what? Props. Thank you.
That's actually pretty funny.
He was trying to have they're trying to have a wrestling match in this garbage show, arguably. That's like what it is. And then like the dumb fans they don't care because it was boring when they were wrestling. And then after they go fast, they're trying to give them fucking weapons. So I don't blame them.
What do you expect from Philly people?
They're actually in Florida, but like, I don't. I don't blame him for being pissed off.
Floridians, bunch of idiots.
The Floridians are like Philadelphia people. They go south. That's just all it is.
True.
I mean, you're exempt. You're from New York. You're not a fucking Philly guy.
You're dumb for other reasons.
That's right.
Damn straight.
Anyway.
Roll Tide.
Oh God. I watched more of those Broken Skull sessions with Steve Austin when he did another one with Undertaker that was like 2 hours, and it was like good because it was really interesting. I watched the one with Kurt Angle. I have a Kurt Angle story to tell really quick because something really funny's happened on the internet, but it's also wholesome.
He came to your house?
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're about to bring up. I'm cool with this.
No, but if he came to my house, I would be like, brother, I love you, and I would hug him or something, cool. if he allowed it, and he didn't try to kill me.
I would give him a perk.
No, don't give him a perk. So,
no, it's where he's getting to, asshole. Just listen to him.
He got addicted to opioids?
I mean, that did happen.
That's part of the story, I'm guessing.
But there's like a YouTube interviewer, Chris Van Vliet, who does he interviews pretty big wrestlers, usually sometimes not so big. But Kurt Angle did one recently, and he was asking him a question about how do you feel about the perk Angle thing. He's kind of talked about it before a little bit, but this is probably the deepest he ever went into it. And he was like, I get what they're doing, like the fans. It's like they're not meaning it to insult me necessarily or make fun of me. But that was like during a really dark period of my life and everything. And when everybody makes jokes about Perk Angle, like I was going out there wrestling high and shit, it's like there's no way you can do that. That's impossible.
Jeff Hardy
Well,
did it.
yeah, and he couldn't wrestle, so Sting got mad and pinned him.
Mhm.
But
bullshit.
he was like it kind of hurts my feelings. Like that's literally what he said. And but I know they don't mean anything by it. And it's like the entire fan base for Kurt Angle on the internet collectively was like, we can't call him that anymore.
I've heard you guys call him that and make so many fucking jokes about Perks.
I know, but he never talked about it like this, though.
All right, you didn't know.
I did.
And then you know you got to respect this because this is the guy who is. It's clearly not a guy that just has like an ego problem because he literally got over with people chanting "You suck" to his theme song.
Yeah.
So he clearly gets wrestling and loves it and loves his fans. But yeah, you know what? Hey, I understand that it's a really dark time. Like he easily could have went the other way and could have like overdosed and died on that, and then it'd have been super fucked up and dark, and we wouldn't have him here to still tell stories and stuff. So I get it. I agree. I thought it was wholesome that the internet's like, no, we got to stop this, guys. We love Kurt Angle.
Yep. So Perk Angle is retired now. It's now you refer to that as Peak Angle.
Peak Angle.
I have to believe some of the segments in TNA he was perked up because the random no one messes with the main event mafia. Yeah.
No, he was just being crazy. I mean, like he's honest about what he was doing. You know, he was like, I would do that after, because when he talks about how much shit he was taking, yeah, there's no way. Like he was taking like fucking 30 shits at once and like passing out in like hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, I'll be nice.
No more Perk Angle. We have to respect his wishes.
Peak Angle.
Peak Angle. But I also watched the Lord of the Rings movies. I watched the Fellowship and Two Towers again, but I watched the theatrical versions this time.
Oh, nice. I have a question. I gotta ask. I know we can't talk about Perk Angle. Can we still pop beans?
We can still pop. Yes. That means something else.
You live in West Virginia. You tell me.
Yeah, we can talk about it because we're from here.
Yeah, we pop beans. Okay, cool.
The bean kicks in.
the bean when the bean kicks in. Okay.
But yeah, I watched the theatrical versions this time instead of the extended. And I still kind of feel the same way about him, I guess.
Did you have to get in the D&D mood? What compelled you to watch them?
Oh, my sister's like a really big fan of the I almost said regular show. No, not that show. Fucking Smiling Friends.
Oh, even better.
But like there's an episode in it that is maybe our favorite. It's the one where they do go to that fantasy world thing.
That's the best one.
And like I told her one time that like this episode references a bunch of stuff that has to do with Lord of the Rings, and she didn't know anything about it.
Well, the animation of the little guy is stolen straight from The Hobbit, the animated movie that Ralph Bakshi was involved with.
I showed it to her.
Okay.
What was his name? The little dude in it? I forgot.
I can't remember. I've seen that episode like
Mip.
5 times. Yeah, it's
Mip. I was like, look, I showed her a picture. I'm like, Mip is literally Bilbo from this old Hobbit movie. It's like the same design and everything almost. And then I was telling her about like he's like turned into Gollum. It's funny, like And then I was like, you're just gonna have to watch these sometime. So we watched a couple of them. They were good. They're still good. I think I like the pacing of the theatrical version of Fellowship more than the extended. I kind of felt the same way about Two Towers when I got done with it. I was like, I feel the same about that one either way, I think. But yeah, we just watched those because they were shorter. It was more convenient. I forgot how long they were. I was like, oh, now we got to watch
all the good Faramir stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we go back and listen to the Big Trouble Lord of the Rings episodes. We all got a big crush on Faramir now.
Yeah, he's cool.
He all right.
I played and beat Echo the Dolphin since the last time I talked about it. I was still playing it. I was in the process.
I heard the final boss is creepy.
It is. It's like a giant xenomorph.
Yep. See?
It's like a giant xenomorph head that's like trying to kill you. That's what happens in the beginning of the game. Spoilers.
Yeah. Just
Aliens come to Earth and suck up a bunch of shit from the ocean to eat it because they ran out of food. So they needed some seafood.
I don't blame them. Seafood's pretty good.
But pretty good game. It's got some weird issues sometimes with you having to do like physics puzzles in it. I kind of just chalk that up to being, and when it came out, like I'm sure they were trying the best they could with what they had. Maybe if that was a 3D game, it might play a little bit better than what it did, because then you could actually play with like real 3D environment physics, trying to do physics puzzles, and that's like a lot easier than trying to do that in 2D. And the ending of the game is like so goddamn hard, though. I was not prepared for how hard it was. I basically had to cheese it to beat it.
That's fine.
And I don't care because it's fine, because it's cheap as fuck. Like I literally died. There's 2 levels. It's like the tube, and then it's like the machine, and that leads into the final boss. And then the tube is like just this section where you have to like dodge a bunch of obstacles and not die until you get to the end of the level. And that sounds like really normal, like normal platformer game things or something. But everything, the damage scaling just goes off the charts, and you take so much damage from like every hit. And it kind of takes advantage of the game's design, where it's like how Echo reacts to hits, where the character doesn't recoil or anything. They just like, ow, and they blink. And you can get like stuck on something and you just take damage continually until you move or something like that. It's one of those. And a lot of games did that.
Are you going to play the second one?
Yeah, I like it well enough that I'll play the second one. And I have the Dreamcast game too.
Whoa. I forgot there was a Dreamcast one. That's right.
Most people do. It kind of flew under the radar. I don't think it was as popular as the other 2 were.
I did a bunch of research on. Have you ever looked up the canceled Vector Man Dreamcast game?
No, I didn't know they were planning one for that. Actually,
they planned one for the Dreamcast and it got canceled, and then they planned another one that would have come out toward the end of the PS2 and it got canceled.
I know,
but the one for the Dreamcast probably would have sucked. It's got a real like Bomberman Act Zero aesthetic. Like it's super oily, gritty. Like
that's kind of like what the PS2 one ended up being like overly dark and shit.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that the other day because you were playing Vector Man and we were talking about it. I was like, if they want to reboot Vector Man, they should make it all colorful, but basically try to ape the same look of the old games, but do them in 3D.
That's how they could do it. Yep.
Good, pretty good game though. I recommend it. Apparently, it's kind of hated online. I was shocked by that. It's got like a real split kind of reception. It seems.
What Echo does?
Echo does, yeah. It seems like people just fucking tried to play the first 2 levels and it gave up or something, and then they just said it was bad.
Hard.
I saw someone call it Battle Nose, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a great nickname for Echo the Dolphin. It's Battle Nose.
I like
it.
If
you know, you know.
Also played Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie for Sega Genesis. It's all right.
I love that game.
I used to like it more, but like now that I've played a lot more games, it feels like kind of like a lazy like cash-in game a little bit.
It's very hollow, but it was like the 4th Genesis game I ever owned, so I have a lot of memories of playing it with my sister.
I had good memories of playing it like because I rented it a couple times, and it was just like an easy breezy kind of beat 'em up, and it is more or less. But then I noticed things about it where like this game came out in '95, and it's a beat 'em up, and the combat is like super goddamn simple.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, it's like there are arcade games that came out before it that definitely are more sophisticated. Like it's really oversimplified.
It's no different from Final Fight, and Final Fight came out in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same, and honestly, Final Fight's more visually impressive to me.
Yeah, no, they definitely just slopped in and cashed in to get that money for the movie.
Plus, since I played that new Power Rangers game a little bit, Rita's Rewind, it's like, man, it's a big difference.
I still need to play this game.
It's pretty cool.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
It's kind of it does the same kind of homage cool send up as Shredder's Revenge, right?
It's very similar in like execution to that.
I loved Shredder's Revenge. So
Shredder's
I might
Revenge
dig on
kick
that one.
ass. Yeah.
The Power Rangers game. I don't think it's as good as Shredder's Revenge, but it tries some different stuff too that's like interesting.
Okay.
I still say it's pretty good though. I played and beat Street Fighter 6's World Tour mode finally.
Whoa.
It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It's but it's pretty good. I'm glad they did this. Instead of trying to do another super serious story mode like they did with Street Fighter 5 that just sucked. It was like a bad OVA anime movie or something. That's what it reminds you of when you play it. Just shit plot and writing. just stuff like that. I kind of hope they either continue doing this world tour thing when they do another game, or they just go back to where like, okay, there's no story mode, just don't worry about it. It's like under the stories in the layers of the game or something. Fighting games don't really need a story.
Yeah, you just do like the fun thing where you play as every character and you beat the game with every character, and as you beat it, you get a little epilogue of what happened.
It's fine, yeah. I'm okay.
It's fine
with
enough.
That.
Yeah. I always like that.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat started doing that try-hard thing, and it kind of worked for them. You know,
yeah.
It did. They kind of found this weird balance where it works for them, and then like everybody else tries to ape it a little bit, and they don't really execute it the same way. Like Dead or Alive did it; it didn't work either.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Mortal Kombat's now reached its peak because we have Floyd now.
Yeah, we have Floyd, Pink Floyd.
Pink.
Yeah, Floyd, the pink ninja who you fight in a fucking sunset field.
They started this cane thing before that was a thing. Cocaine and gain and blue cane. Like they did it first. Then I played and beat Astro's Playroom. I actually started it a little bit after Christmas, and I did one level, and then I quit.
Well, that's a quarter of the game you did.
I know, yeah. So I was going to go back and finish it, and I did in one sitting, and it was really good.
I like the game a lot. It's fun.
I like how that game really squeezes all the juice out of using the fucking PlayStation controller, whatever they call this one.
DualSense?
DualSense. Yeah.
DualShock.
I almost said 6-axis for some reason.
No, that's the bad one. Now you got to play Astrobot.
I'm probably going to because that was good enough that I'm like, yeah, I want to play Astrobot.
You mean 2024's Game of the Year, Astrobot?
That's the one.
Yeah, it's impossible that game would get Game of the Year. Apparently,
you play it, and come back and say that to my face.
Yeah,
you say that to Team Asobi's face.
They got my support. I don't know. I was supporting them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Astro's Playroom is like the proof of concept, and then Astrobot is like the full-fledged quadruple A platforming experience, or whatever they're fucking calling them now.
I don't know if it's even quadruple A.
Sounds fun.
But I did that, and then I read Hobbit. I haven't read Hobbit since I was in 6th grade.
I love that one. That's my favorite one.
It's really good. I like it.
That's one of the books I've read the most in my life, I believe. I've reread it 4 times, maybe.
Do you think that book was written for kids? Like that was the intention of it?
I don't know. I've flip-flopped on that in my life. Like I think it was. I think it is. It's meant to be. Not like children, but I think it is meant to be like a lighter fare. Like you understand, like children are growing up on Bluey now, but before this, they were growing up on stuff like The Adventures of Tintin, which was like a little more serious, and then before that, they were growing up on like maybe other things. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think it was written. I think it was written with all ages in mind.
Yeah. Well, I just bring that up because I used to know somebody that was like fucking adamant about this and like wouldn't let it go for some reason. Not that I get in arguments with them. He just wanted you to know it was fucking written for children.
No, that's stupid.
Well, he's wrong.
And I wasn't going to say because it can't be because it's so serious or anything. I just think like J.R.R. Tolkien's too wordy for it to be specifically for children.
I don't think he thought about it. I think he just wanted to make a fun little adventure, and then C.S. Lewis stole it from him and published it for him.
There it is. Yeah.
But yeah.
Hobbit's better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, like I said, it's my favorite J.R.R. Tolkien book. Mm-hmm.
he had a whole adventure in one book that was like, in my version of the book, it's like almost 300 pages.
Yeah, and it's just so satisfying because in Lord of the Rings, like there's a lot of character arcs and stuff, and like Frodo comes to terms with stuff, and everyone else has a lot of things going on, and Aragorn like comes back to be king and all this stuff. I just really like that Bilbo is boring but content, but then has adventure thrust upon him, and reluctantly answers the call, and then like goes on the adventure of many lifetimes. I don't know. It's just a wonderful book. I love it.
Yeah, that is one of the aspects of it I liked a lot. Just wanted to be left alone, and then he had to go on an adventure. And he's like, I want to do this adventure bullshit, and then he has to do adventure bullshit. He's like, I kind of like doing this adventure.
This
bullshit.
is all right, I guess. Honestly, I think I learned things from that book. I think if it wasn't for that book, I'd probably be a different person.
Kind of, yeah. When I read it at the time, I was like, "This is awesome," and then like for some reason, I just didn't buy a copy of it for myself. I read the school's copy.
Oh.
And that's when they did accelerated reader.
Oh, you got a free personal pan pizza.
Some listeners may not know what that is. They used to do the school program thing specifically in our region, I think. Where
really, I thought it was nationwide.
I don't think it was because when I talked to like other people from different states, they're like, "What?"
We just had summer like reading list essentially.
Yeah, I guess West Virginia was one of the ones where it was like, we're going to make this a serious effort for some reason. And you had to like read a certain amount of books to get points for you to like meet the criteria. It's like, okay, you did good for reading books this school year, kind of a thing. It was supposed to encourage kids to read, and you would get like rewards and shit depending on like which school ran it. But the framework was the same through all schools where we lived at, basically.
Yeah, I don't remember them having that where I went to school. But we had the Pizza Hut that lets you turn shit in. That was cool.
Maybe they were just like, I don't know. Maybe it depended on like different regions in the state. But yeah, who knows? That's what I did though. I did all that stuff. I read Hobbit again.
Good.
Cool.
All right. All right, Andy, where can they follow us?
Everywhere. Yeah, if you're watching this, you're on YouTube. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do all that other stuff. If you just want to listen to us, though, if you want to listen to the finely tuned product, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Podcast Addict, Podcast Kangaroo, Podcast Spaghetti, Podcast Lamborghini. We're on all of them. I made up one of those.
Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, we're there too.
Yeah, we're on all of them.
Yeah, and if you live in Manhattan and you see a guy on a phone just screaming about stuff,
punch him.
Shout out our podcast on Opie Unleashed, New York City.
Honestly, if I ever saw Opie doing some shit, I'd just yell, "Hi, Carl," I think is what I would do.
All right, guys. We will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening.